Hey everyone, this is Sahil, and I know many of you have recently got into the game of chess, be it thanks to the lockdown, you had nothing to do at home, or be it thanks to people like Samirena who have really popularized the game. You have recently got into this game, you have started playing games online, and you're still confused about how you can actually play this in an actual tournament, how you can get an international and a FIDE rating, and I'm going to clear all these doubts in this video. The game of chess has not only been played online, it has been played over the board, and there were plenty of tournaments all over the country and all over the world being organized every month. And there were plenty of players playing these tournaments. Some were fighting to get their FIDE rating, some were trying to increase it, and some, of course, were lucky enough to even decrease it. And there were intense battles being fought. I personally have played tournaments in over 25 countries, and it's been an incredible journey. You get to play against players from all over the country, all over the world, and you get to try out different openings, different tactics, and you learn a lot playing against strong opponents. And nowadays, thanks to COVID, that has been stopped. There are no tournaments in the country, at least. There are a few tournaments going on in Europe, but they are out of reach for all of us. So we all actually want to get our FIDE rating, and it's very, very important because it gives you international recognition. Anybody who has a FIDE rating, it's very easy for anybody in the world to check your name. You have an official statement. The World Chess Federation actually allots you this rating, and anybody all over the world can check this rating, and it actually gives you a lot of credibility. So having this rating actually means a lot, rather than an online rating, which is very speculative. There are many cheaters online, and it's not, let's say, credible at all. But if you consider your online rating and you exclude it, and now you consider your FIDE rating, it's not so easy to cheat. Actually, it's almost impossible. There have been some players who have tried to do this, but they have been caught, and it's very embarrassing, and they have been banned for life or even decades at least. And on the other hand, you actually play a long, serious game where you treat it as an actual sport and not just an online time pass kind of thing. But you actually gain this recognition where everybody you know all over the world can immediately search your name, and the first thing that you will see, even if they just Google your name, the first thing that will crop up is your FIDE rating, and that is something huge. You can even Google my name, Sahil Tikku, and it will definitely crop up on the first page. And this is absolutely amazing, and every chess player who has got into the game definitely deserves a FIDE rating. Now, how can you gain this rating? Well, I'm going to explain that right now. I'm going to try to understand how you can, after COVID, of course, try to get your FIDE rating. Until then, you can, of course, practice. So which kind of tournaments should you play? The tournaments that can gain your FIDE rating are tournaments that are open tournaments, open nationally. They are open to all players across the country, and also some nationals organized by the All India Chess Federation. So for example, if you're aged 10 years, you can basically play the under 11 nationals, the under 13 nationals, and so on. All of these events are FIDE rated. And also there are many open tournaments organized by many people who are into organization for the past many years, and they organized very, very well. And you can play these open tournaments, and they can also give you a chance to gain your FIDE rating. So how can you find out about these tournaments? We're going to have a look right now. So here I've opened up the website of the All India Chess Federation. It is AFICF.in, as you can see. And this is the website where you find all the tournaments. So what you do is you open up this website, you click on calendar, and next you click on all events. Now, once you get here, you basically will get a yearly list of tournaments. You can check out all the tournaments that you wish to see. For example, when there was no COVID in the month of January and February, you can see there are plenty of tournaments available. For example, it starts with some ONGC tournament, then there is a IIFL Investment Managers tournament in Mumbai, then it is Trichy, then it is Delhi, then Jharkhand, Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, Indore, Ratnagiri, Delhi, Hyderabad, and so on. And it continues for different months. And this is around somewhere where COVID hit, and then the tournaments from March were basically cancelled. So there are many tournaments planned. For example, this is the National Rapid, and this was planned for May, but of course it was never held because of the COVID situation. So after the COVID situation stabilizes a little bit and sporting events are allowed, this is the website where you can find all the tournaments. And let's say I want to check out one particular tournament. I'm going to choose the Delhi International GM Open. I click on it. It will open up the private page of that tournament, and now it will give me the address of the tournament. For example, this is the organizer's detail, this is the time control, and this is the starting date, the end date. This was also available on the previous page. This is the venue of the tournament, and this is the total prize fund, which as you can see is pretty high. It's over 1 crore, and now we can click here to download the brochure. And once I click here, it will open up the brochure. If it's a Word file, it will download directly, and if it's a PDF, it will open up immediately, and then you can automatically check out the tournaments. And this is the brochure for the Delhi GM Open, and you can see it has the date, the venue. It has a detailed analysis of when the rounds are, what are the prizes for different. For example, in the A Open, which was basically open for I think it usually has a rating criteria. The first prize was 6.5 lakhs. Now this is not basically for beginners, and for beginners I think the C category will be best. For example, as you can see, there's also time control mentioned. It's 90 minutes per 30 seconds, and the entry fees and everything is also mentioned here. And you can of course play this tournament, or you can also go for the B category. The B category here basically is for people who are rated below 1900. Now this can be a great tournament to play if you're trying to build up your rating for the first time, and this is very interesting. For example, for the B category alone, they have their own schedule, separate schedule. The first prize is 3 lakhs and so on. They have different prize funds for even unrated. For example, if you're an unrated player and you come first among all the unrated players, you get a prize of 15,000. And similarly, there's a C category tournament, and this is the best tournament to play once, for example, you have a rating. Let's say you have a rating of 1500, then this is a great tournament to play because you have an amazing chance of winning, and the first prize is again 3 lakhs. This way you can check out details of the tournament. There'll be further details mentioned. For example, below it is mentioned you can deposit the amount into this account. Now please don't do that right now because the tournament is pretty much over, and there will also be some links mentioned. And of course, this is a very important point. Before you play any tournament, you have to register with the All India Chess Federation. Now this is an online registration. This was earlier done manually, and this was a very messy process. Nowadays it is completely online, and you have to go to the AFICF website. You can register. I'll come up with a separate video on this in detail later, but this is a 250 fee for the entire year, and it helps AFICF maintain all its offices and the staff, and so that you have a great tournament, and it regulates all of the tournaments. Now there, for example, the weather is mentioned because many players sometimes come from abroad, so they need to know a rough scenario about the weather, the venue. There are people you can contact. For example, you can call up any of these guys, you can send them an email. The website of the tournament is mentioned. Now the accommodation options, usually there are different accommodations for different rating categories. If you're an unrated player, most probably you will not have some great accommodation options, but you can of course stay on your own in any hotel as you wish, or you can of course take the accommodation which is given to you by the tournament organizers. Now there are many such, of course there's a form mentioned here. You don't necessarily have to fill it up. You can just email the organizer that you want to play this tournament and you're interested, how can you pay the entry fee, and they will of course guide you accordingly. So you have planned a tournament. There's a tournament nearby your place, and you have taken some sort of leave from your school or college or work, and you've finally decided to get your FIDE rating. So how do you actually get it? Well, first of all, you have to remember that you need a bit of practice to get it. Not everyone will. After all, it's something prestigious, it's international recognition, and you have to know a bit about the game to actually get it. The range of the rating starts from 1000. So this is the basic minimum rating that you can get, and it extends technically up to infinity, but the highest rating is currently attained by the world champion Magnus Carlsen, and he has a rating of 28, 60, 70 currently. And at the start, basically any rating is actually fine. But even to get the bare minimum rating, you need some skills. And I would suggest either having a personal coach, that is the best way to learn. If not, if it is expensive or you don't have the time, then I recommend gradually trying to learn from YouTube videos, from friends and other sources until you know enough about the game and you feel confident that you can play the game. So then after you're ready to play your first tournament, you decided, checking the AICF website, and finally you play the tournament. Now to get a FIDE rating, you actually need to play 5 FIDE rated players and score at least half point against them. So that means, let's say you go and play your first tournament. To get a rating in that tournament, you need to face 5 other rated players who already have a FIDE rating. Now you might be scared that these are guys who already have a rating and this is very, very scary and how will I win against them? But there are many points I like to put forward against it. First of all, you don't have to score 5 out of 5 to get a rating. Even a half point can sometimes be enough. How many points are actually enough depends on the average rating of all your opponents. Let's say the average rating of all your opponents is 1800, then I'm pretty sure that half point would be more than enough to get a rating. But if the average rating is around 1200, then obviously you need to score a higher, you need to score more points to actually get a FIDE rating. So, and the second point is that I personally remember when I played my first state tournament as a kid, basically I was afraid of other rated players and I would always be scared that they might beat me easily, but that is not the case. The first time I ever played a rated player was, he had a rating of 1850 and I actually won the game. So the first time I actually played one, I actually managed to win the game, and pretty soon after a few months from there, I had my FIDE rating. So another thing is that during my times, the number of games was 9. So nowadays the number is just 5. So you can gain the rating much easier. However, it also means that you have to make sure that you gain at least half a point. Now we come to different tournaments. For example, if you're playing one tournament, you can have all 5 games in that tournament, or you can also have 2 or 3 tournaments and then you can add up all your score in all those tournaments. For example, I can have 3 games in one tournament and have a score of, let's say, half out of 3, and I can have 2 games in another tournament and I can score, let's say, 1 out of 2, and I can add all of those. So I add total games 3 plus 2, that is 5 games, and I add my score, that is half plus 1, 1.5. So I would have 1.5 out of 5, and based on the average rating of all the 5 opponents, I can calculate my personal rating. Another thing is that you have to make sure that you have practiced enough. The reason I say it is because it's much easier to get a good rating at first rather than to increase your rating later. So it's better to practice first and then play a tournament, and then you have a higher rating than your friends and you can pretty much show it off. So how is the FIDE rating calculated? Well, they are very complicated tables and I could start with the mathematics class right now, but I think the better way to go about it is to simply explain you with the help of the FIDE website, where you can immediately calculate your rough rating after you have, of course, played against a specific range of players who have their own FIDE rating. So let's dive into the website. So we have opened up the FIDE website. Now FIDE.com is the website for the World Chess Federation, which is basically short for Fédérale Internationale des Échecs, which is basically International Federation of Chess in French. And ratings.fide.com is the link you have to go to. I'm going to repeat it, ratings.fide.com, and you can see the link right here. And this is the website we'll find out our initial rating. So at first you can see Magnus Carlsen, the world champion. This is the top female player, Hu Yifan. She's from China. The best juniors in the world, Ali Reza and Abdulmalik Zansaya. This is the place where you have the rating list. You can see they are aligned in their rating categories. Magnus Carlsen has a rating of 2863 and he's the number 1 in the world. And he's very closely, let's say, followed by Fabiano Caruana, Ding Liren, Ian Nepomniachtchi. So you can see they are the top rated players in the world right now. Vishwanathan Anand is the number 1 Indian, and he has slipped down a little bit on number 15, but Of course, he is our Vichy and he can bounce back at any point. He has spent decades and decades in the top 5 of the world, and he was the world champion from 2008 to 2013. So now this is the place where you can search any name you want to. For example, if I search my name, uh, I type my name here, I press enter, and pretty soon my name crops up, and you can see my standard rating, the rapid rating, the blitz rating. There are 3 different ratings for 3 different formats. However, the standard rating is of the utmost importance, and although nowadays with online chess being at the forefront, rapid and blitz is of course gaining popularity, and it is also a part of the world championship cycle in case of a tie, so this is not to be discounted at all. Then you can click on any name and this will lead you up to the profile of that player, and if you have a FIDE rating, you will also have your own profile, and anybody in the world can check this, and this will be very, very fun for you to boast to your friends. Now, the major reason I opened up this link is because you have this button here which is known as calculators. So you click on this link, and this basically will lead you up to this page where you can calculate your rating. For example, rating changes for players who already have a rating. For example, I have a rating of 2245. So if I play against some player who has a rating of 2400, and if I manage to win against him, my K factor is 20. Now I'm going to delve into the K factor separately. So let's keep it 20 for now. And I click on calculating change. So basically I gain 14 points in one game. For you, the initial rating will be the most important thing. And for you, the K factor is not really important. It's something very subtle and not really important for you right now. What you do is you have to calculate the average rating of all your opponents. So let's say you have played 5 games, and just as a note, it's not necessary to play 5 games. You might as well have played 6. Let's say you play 3 games in your first tournament against 3 rated players. Then you play 3 more games in the next tournament against 3 rated players. Then the first 6 games will be counted, and your score will be considered accordingly. So let's say I have played 3 games in the first tournament, and my average ratings were 1300, 1400, and 1500, and the ratings of my 3 opponents, that is. And the next tournament I play another game, and in that tournament I mean, and there I play 3 more games, and again, let's say by some circumstance or by luck, the average rating of my opponents is 1300, 1400, and 1500. So if I calculate the average of all the 6 games as if I had played them in one tournament, the average comes out to be 1400. So I write it here. The average rating of all my 6 opponents is 1400. Now let's say I scored 2 out of 6, considering all the 6 games. I have 2 wins and 4 losses, or 1 win and 2 draws and whatever. So I put here 2 points, and because I have played 6 games, I will put here 6. This is my score, and this is the total number of games, and this is all that you have to do. You click on calculating initial rating, and it gives you your rating. For example, if you're a very strong player and you have started playing chess after a lot of practice, let's say I have faced an average rating of 1600, because the better you play, the more higher your opponents will be. For example, I play the first round against some 1400. If I lose, I will probably face some 1200 in the next round. If I win, I'll face some 1900. So my average will also increase. So let's say my average is 1600 and I have played 6 games, but I managed to score 5 out of 6. Let's try to calculate the rating now. So in this case, my rating will be 1680. So you can see how different it can be. If you play well at the start, the rating difference can be huge. But that, of course, should not force you to wait forever to play your first tournament. After all, you have to enjoy the game. So just practice enough to kind of have your first tournament, and then you can enjoy the game further. As we saw, the recognition this rating gives you, you have to remember that any person in this world can just type your name on Google, and this is the first thing that they will see, and that is an amazing fact. And this gives you a lot of credibility, and you can use this fact in many avenues in your life, and you will enjoy playing this wonderful game. And this is the way you can actually get your FIDE rating. Now, of course, this is the COVID era and there are no tournaments going on as of now, but I'm pretty sure that they are just around the corner. So keep practicing, keep learning, and keep watching our videos, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot, and we'll help you on your journey to get your FIDE rating. And as always, do take care.